I'm going to go ahead and press recording. So yeah, again, we're going to be doing a virtual, or Susanna will be doing a virtual affairs overview of the Handshake virtual affairs feature. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Susanna.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thank you guys for having me and everyone who's joining us today. So I'm Susanna Hill. I work with Handshake, and I'm going to go ahead and start sharing screen because I'm going to show a walkthrough of the virtual career fair process. I'm going to start with the registration process, and I'm going to move through that fairly quickly, but then I'm going to spend some time talking through very important step of schedule building for the virtual fair. If you don't build your schedules or you don't build them in time, students won't be able to see your availability. They won't be able to sign up with you. So that schedule creation process is key. And then lastly, I will show you the process of how you would participate in the fair and what it looks like for students to participate in the fair. So here I am on my Handshake homepage. I am in a demo site today, so we're not looking at any real student or employer information here. On my homepage, I can navigate to upcoming career fairs here on the left side navigation bar. When I click into fairs, I can see all variety of fairs available from Handshake partner schools. But I know today I'm interested in a particular fair, so I'm going to use the keyword search. But you can also use these different filters to narrow down and find the fair you're interested in. So you might be searching for Central Florida here. In this case, I am searching for this fair. I can see that I'm not yet registered. I'm going to click into this fair. And I can see that I have the option to register here in the top right. I'm going to go ahead and click this button, register. And then this process is where I'm going to move fairly quickly. You're going to work through the standard registration form that the school has prepared for you. But I do want to call out a couple of things. The first is the schedule owner. So this is me, but I could choose to make this a colleague of mine instead. The schedule owner is going to be the member of your team responsible for building schedules for all of the recruiters who will be participating in the fair. You can change the schedule owner later, but if you know that a colleague of yours is going to be doing that schedule building, you might want to go ahead and assign them here when you're registering. You also have the option to register a specific division of your company if you're representing a large company. Just keep in mind that for virtual fairs, only one division can register. So if you have multiple divisions attending the fair, it's best to leave this field blank. Now it's going to ask me what roles I'm recruiting for, and it's very helpful if you have those roles already posted in Handshake. You can go ahead and add those roles here. They will appear under this jobs list. And then you do need to answer a few questions about work authorization, and this will be visible to students. They will be able to see if you are willing to sponsor or not, and that will help them decide which employers they might visit with day of during the fair. So in this case, I'm going to say that yes, I do require work authorization, that I am willing to sponsor, and that I am willing to accept OPT, CPT. You can also provide some information to students about what you're looking for. Still, all students will be able to see your registration at the fair, but this will just give them a little bit more information about if you're hiring for full-time, part-time, if you're looking for job, internship, both, etc. If there are particular school years you're interested in, or particular major groups. This is all optional. It won't restrict students' ability to sign up with you, but this is just something that students would be able to see when they look at your registration. And then, of course, you'll select your payment method, agree to the refund policy, and create your registration. So the registration is fairly simple, but now we see this pop-up that says, we're almost done. We've registered, but now, very important, as soon as you get school approval, and you will be notified by email when that happens, you'll need to set up your schedule. And you can always follow this help article here to refer back to instructions to how to build your schedule, but that's what I'm going to show you next. So I'm going to click agree. And now I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment because I'm going to switch over to my career services view. I'm going to approve this registration, and then we'll be able to go through that process of building a schedule. So I will do that very quickly. I will approve this registration. And then we can look at the process of building out those schedules. Okay, I'm switching back now to my employer account so we can look again at the second step of this process. This is the schedule building process. So now you should be able to see my screen again. I'm on the FAIR details page. Again, you can access that from the FAIR section on the left side navigation bar. I can see all of the employers that have registered. This is me. I can see my company here. But I'm not done yet. We have that very important second step, and you will find that under schedule. So we click schedule, and we can see here that we don't have any sessions built yet. We need to build these out. So I can't stress enough how important it is to build out these schedules early, because when students are able to register for the fair, they're going to want to sign up for sessions, be it group sessions or one-on-one sessions. And if you haven't built your schedule yet, students aren't going to see your availability. They're not going to be able to sign up for you. And the student may not go back in later and look at the fair, so you might miss the opportunity to connect with that student. But if you have your schedule ready to go, you build it right away, then you'll have as many student eyeballs as possible on your availability. So very important step. I'm going to click Add Sessions, and now it's going to walk me through the schedule creation process. So the first step is to add team members. So I'm going to add myself. I'll be attending the fair, and then I can pick any number of my colleagues who might be joining day of, and I can pick as many as I'd like. Once I've done that, I can click Add Team. Now I do want to call out that to participate in a virtual career fair, your teammates do need to have active Handshake accounts. So if your teammate doesn't yet have a Handshake account, you can add them here. There's two ways you can do that. You can grab an invitation link, and you would share that link with your colleagues, say, hey, please follow this link, create your account. Or you can add that teammate manually. So you would do that process for them of adding that teammate, but they have to respond to the email that they'll get saying, hey, you've created an account, please claim that account. And until they have done that, they won't be able to participate in the fair. So if you do need to add recruiters, add teammates who don't yet have accounts, you can do that during the schedule creation process, but those teammates do need to take some action and respond either by creating their own account or simply by activating the account that you create for them. So in this case, I'm happy with the teammates I've added, so I'm going to move on and click Add Team. And now we're on the second step here, which is to add group sessions. So with a Handshake Virtual Career Fair, you'll see you have the option to add group sessions and one-on-one sessions. You can have as many as you like, but they cannot be concurrent. So if you have a lot of colleagues coming with you, you need to make sure that you share that time for group sessions. So maybe the first half an hour, my team will host a group session. The second half an hour, my colleague's team would host a group session, and so on. So the group sessions cannot be concurrent. You can only do one at a time, but you can do as many one-on-one sessions at a time as you'd like. So I am going to start my day with a group session. So I will answer yes, we are planning to do a group session. And then I have a choice here. You can use the Handshake embedded video, which is a great choice. You don't have to manage any external Zoom links, WebEx, etc. Do note it has a 50-person limit. That's not 50 students, 50 persons. So if you and 6 of your colleagues are hosting, that only leaves room for 43 students. So, or 42 students. So just note that there is a limit of 50 people. So if you are hoping to get a really big crowd, you might choose the external video platform. You might also choose external video platform if you know that your company has some, firewalls or VPNs that can make it difficult to access video systems other than the one that your company already uses. So if you know, for example, that you have a company Teams account, you might go ahead and use Teams because you know that that is going to work. Trying to use Handshake video, if you have that strict firewall, you may have some difficulty day of. Now you can always switch this later. You can switch your video platform, but just good to think about as you're creating that schedule. If you already know you have some limitations, then that external video platform might be a good choice for you. I'm going to go ahead and go with Handshake video. And now most of you will not see this question. This is only if you have a paid Handshake account. So don't be alarmed if you don't see this question at all as you go through this process. So I'll say no, we're not going to record. And now I need to give a title to my session. So you might say, come learn about our internships. And hopefully you will give a much more informative and robust title and description for your group sessions, because students will see this. This is what will encourage them to sign up for your session. And especially if you have a few different colleagues from your company, maybe one is recruiting for internships, one is recruiting for full-time, you would want to clearly spell that out in your group session title and your description. So a nice, robust information is helpful here because students will see this. And now it will ask me how many of my teammates are going to be hosting this session. So in this case, I'm going to say just 2 of us will be hosting, which means there will be room for 48 students. And then I'm going to select the time. So I want to start the day with a group session. So I'm going to select that first half an hour. And now I could add a second session if I wanted to. And you'll see that first half an hour isn't available because we can only have one group session going on at a time. But in this case, I think I'm going to just stick with the one group session. So I'm going to go ahead and click confirm sessions. And now it's going to move me on to the second step of this group session, which is who are those 2 colleagues that are going to be hosting. So I'm going to select myself and I'm going to select one of my teammates. So now either Alexandria or I would be able to launch the video for this session and host that session. We can both join in. We are both hosting. If later on we decide that we wanted to add someone else to this group session, we can always add an additional host. But for the moment, only myself and Alexandria would see this group session on our personal schedule for the day. So I'll go ahead and click assign team. And then it's going to take me to the next step, which is setting up one-on-one sessions. Now, group sessions are 30 minutes long. One-on-one sessions are 10-minute individual video conversations with a student. So it can only be one employer, one student. They're all 10 minutes at a time. These can happen concurrently. So I'm going to go ahead and add one-on-one sessions for a few of my colleagues here, and you're going to see it's going to ask me if I want to add any qualifications. So we'll say yes. And now I get to add some requirements. Unlike the registration process where I could indicate, I'm interested in full-time hiring, I'm interested in XYZ school year, all students are still able to see my registration. The difference with these one-on-one qualifications is that if a student doesn't meet your qualifications, they will not see your one-on-one sessions and therefore would not be able to sign up. So just use caution when applying qualifications because you can inadvertently miss out on some great students if your qualifications are off. So for example, let's say that I said, I'm only interested in seniors because I am hiring for full-time positions. Well, it's possible that maybe someone is technically classified as a junior, but they're actually going to be graduating early. Maybe that would have been a great candidate for me, but now that student is not going to be able to sign up with me. Or if I choose a graduation date range, I could inadvertently miss out on some students who are graduating a little bit later in the summer, for example. So just be really, really mindful that if you're applying qualifications, you want them to be true, firm qualifications. Like, for example, if I'm hiring for an accounting position, I have to have a student who has an accounting degree. That would be a great instance where I might apply a major qualification. But I encourage you to think broadly about all the possible students that might be a good fit and to keep these qualifications as open as possible. So for the sake of this demo, I'm going to grab just a few school years and we'll use these as my qualifications, but you do have the choice, graduation date, school year, GPA, and majors. Those are the qualifications you can set, especially with GPA. If a student doesn't have a GPA on their profile, they would be disqualified from seeing your session. So be really, really strategic and open when thinking about these. You can also set a qualification for work authorization. And then you'll see here at the bottom, we recommend, and by default, we have turned on a pause in your qualifications 48 hours before the fair begins. You can turn this off. So again, if you have very strict hiring requirements, maybe you want to keep those qualifications on. You'd rather see fewer students, understanding that you might have some gaps in your day. But the reason that we recommend you turn these off is because of all of the things that I've just mentioned. There may be some great candidates who don't quite meet your qualifications, but would still be a good fit. You want to make the most of your day, see as many candidates as possible. So opening up those qualifications 2 days before the fair begins allows those other students the ability to access your session. So I'm going to go ahead and click add. And now it takes me back to these other coworkers who are going to be hosting one-on-one sessions. For the purposes of time, I'm going to add these sessions. I'm not going to add any requirements, so we can move through this part quickly. And now I'm going to click assign team, and it's going to take me to the last step, which is to review what I've done. So I can see here, I've built one group session to start the day. I'm hosting it alongside my colleague, Alex. And then I can also see I've added 3 of my colleagues who are going to be hosting one-on-one sessions in addition to myself. I'm the only one who's put any qualifications on those sessions. And if I needed to make a change, I could click edit session, go back. It would take me back in this process. I could make those changes, review again. And once I'm sure my schedule is how I want it to be, I go ahead and click confirm and invite team. So it's going to take a moment to build these schedules. And now, very important next step, I am logged into my account. I'm looking at my schedule. I have built my schedule. I'm happy with it. Your colleagues for whom you built schedules, they need to log into Handshake and claim their schedules. The reason they need to do that is so that they can look at their schedule. They can make sure it aligns with their expectations for the day, that they can be available for all the sessions that they have been signed up for. And it helps them prepare for the day of fair. They know where to navigate in Handshake and what their schedule looks like. So every individual employer representative must log into Handshake and claim their schedule. If they do not claim their schedule, it doesn't appear to students. So students, again, another potential pitfall here. If your colleagues don't claim their schedule, students can't see it or sign up. So I encourage you to build schedules as early as possible and encourage your teammates to claim their schedule. So I'll click reload, and now we should be able to see my personal schedule for the day. So I can see here, I'm starting the day with this group session alongside Alex, and then the rest of the day I have open slots available to me. Now I'm going to pause for a moment and just check the chat, see if there are any questions that have come in so far. Okay, no questions so far, but feel free to put things in the chat. I will do time for a Q&A at the end, but I know this is a lot of information. So if you want to go ahead and put any questions in the chat, please feel free. So I've built the schedules. I am now waiting on my teammates to claim the schedules. And I want to talk next about editing the schedules. So first, I'm going to call out this. I'm looking at my personal schedule for the day, but if I click here, I can look at those colleagues and I can see what their schedules look like for the day. Now I can also see that Ash has not yet claimed their schedule. So you can check on the progress of your colleagues, give them a gentle nudge and say, hey, Ashley, please go in and claim your schedule. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at my own schedule for the day because I want to talk through some edits that I can make to my schedule. So we can see here, I have a few of these 10-minute open slots, but this is a long day. Maybe I know I'm going to need to take a lunch break. So I want to block off these 10-minute slots because students can sign up for them throughout the fair. So I'm participating in the fair. I'm in a session early in the morning. Someone could go ahead and sign up for that next available session. So if I know that I need a break, I cannot be there for part of the fair, you want to mark that as busy. So each individual session has these 3 dots to the right. This is where I could mark that as busy. And I'll block off a full half an hour here. And now students would not be able to sign up during this time. So again, this is really important because students can sign up for sessions leading up to and during the fair. So if I need to step away, go ahead and grab that time, mark it as busy, and now a student wouldn't sign up when I'm not actually at my computer. So that's the first thing that we can edit. The next thing we can do is this. I can switch each of these sessions to an externally hosted video platform. So it would look something like this. Zoom.com. I would add in my link. And now I can see that I've added this link. And you'll notice that I can update the link, but I cannot revert back to Handshake video. So once you switch over to an external video, it is a one-way switch. You cannot switch back. But if you are having any technical difficulties day of, maybe you want to go ahead and commit to switching to Zoom. Or as I mentioned before, if you have a VPN or a firewall, or you are required to use a specific video service because of your company, you might want to go ahead and make that switch. Just know that once you switch, you cannot switch back. Now, the day of the fair, the way that you will participate doesn't change. You will come to your schedule and 60 minutes before this time slot, a join video will appear. For your external session, it would simply say join external video. But either way, you are participating from your schedule. You come back to your schedule and launch each video session from here. And that is how you will get to check into the Handshake video or check into that external video if you so choose. So those are some edits that I can make for myself leading up to and during the fair. We can also make some changes on behalf of our team and on behalf of their sessions and these group sessions. So I want to show you those edits now. So first, we'll look at manage team. Let's say suddenly a colleague becomes available day of, you can add them. So I will grab a teammate from my list. And remember, they have to have an active Handshake account. I will grab that teammate from my list. If they want a one-on-one schedule, I can quickly build that out for them. I can add those qualifications to that one-on-one schedule or not. And I could choose to add them to a group session as well. So now I can add in that colleague at the last minute. The next thing I can do from here is to remove or transfer a schedule. So let's say, for example, that we find out that Ashley is no longer available to participate. I can simply remove Ashley. If it's early on, no one has signed up with her, I might just go ahead and remove Ashley. If, however, Ashley has a lot of students already signed up with them, I might want to transfer this schedule to a colleague. Now, note that you do have to transfer their full day. You can't pick an individual student, say, oh, actually, I'd prefer that this student meet with my other colleague. You can't transfer individual sessions. This is really meant if suddenly a colleague is unavailable and you have to move their full schedule over to someone else. So I could click here. and I would simply grab who is that new teammate that I want to put in their place. And I would transfer that full schedule away from Ashley and to my colleague DC. So that's all under Manage Team. We've talked about adding a teammate, removing a teammate, transferring a teammate schedule, or I can do a bulk invite, and this will take me back to this first page. So this might look familiar to you. I can add additional teammates if I know all of a sudden a lot more are going to be joining. And this isn't available right before the fair, but since this fair is still a few weeks out, I can also still access these links for teammates to either have a unique invitation link where they can create their own account, or I can create their account for them. So this won't be available right before the fair, but it is in the weeks leading up to it. Now, if you do have a situation where a colleague needs to join the fair last minute, they can still do that. They just have to follow the traditional route of building their own Handshake account, joining your company, and then you can add them to the fair. These are just quick, convenient links to help you expedite that process. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. So when I'm looking at my schedule for the day, we've talked about the edits we can make to our team. I want to talk about some of the edits we could make to the sessions themselves. So first of all, we could create a new group session. So I'm going to do that here. And I'm going to, again, choose between Handshake and external video. You probably will not see this, so we'll ignore this question. And then we'll call this one full-time hiring. We'll give it a great description so that students know what they are coming to attend. And we will select how many of my teammates will be hosting this session. And again, they can't be concurrent, but maybe we want to add one at the top of the next hour. And now I get to add whichever teammate is going to be hosting this session. So I'm going to create this session. And now I've added another group session. So if we went over, I think it was Bree, you should see that additional session on Bree's calendar. I think it was Bree. All right, so we can add new sessions. We can add new one-on-one schedules, new group sessions from here. We can also edit the group sessions that we already have. So let's say we needed to make a change to this group session. And this is very important if you do find out day of you're having any technical difficulties and you want to switch to an external video platform. This is how you would do that for a group session. So in this case, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to switch to an external video platform. It's going to ask me for that Zoom or Teams link. I'm going to put that in here and then just click confirm. And now I've successfully edited that group session. The other thing that we can do from here is edit a one-on-one schedule. So we are editing their qualifications. So for example, maybe Ash needs to have some qualifications. We could add those last minute as well. So lots of edits that we can make after we build that initial schedule. Okay, I'm going to check the chat, see what questions there might be. Do the students have Handshake or special location is set up at the school? And Veronica answered that. All students have a Handshake account. Great. Okay. So we've talked about the registration and schedule building process. We have talked about the process of editing your schedules, and we have talked about the process of editing on behalf of other colleagues and colleagues needing to claim their own schedules. So the next thing I want to talk about is what it is like to participate in the fair day of. So the first thing I'm going to call out is this, always available in the top right corner is a test Handshake video. And I definitely recommend you take advantage of this before the fair. And what this will do is open up a new page where it will create a test video session in Handshake. And you can add a teammate. So if you and your teammate both want to test it out, you could add that person here, but you don't have to. You can test it alone. Click create test session. And then it's going to give you this unique session link, which we will open up. And then I can see here, it takes me to sort of a demo page where I can check and make sure that my video works. I can check and make sure that my audio works. I can blur my background on or off. And I can also, just like Zoom, test my different microphones, speakers, etc. And if I am having difficulties, you can quickly report a problem to our support team here. The great thing about using this is that will go right to the top of our queue, and we'll know that this support request is an urgent day of request. So you can do that here if you're having any difficulties. Once everything looks good, we'll click join now, and this will take us into the session. So everything up until now has been a preview to test out our audio and video. Now we are in the session. It's a little trippy to have my video in two places, but here I am. And you can share screen here. So just like Zoom or any other video platform you're probably used to, you can share your screen. You can go to your settings if you do have any audio or video issues, and your participant settings. So once you have students joining into your session, they might want to share their screen with you. Let's say you want to look at their portfolio. You, as the host, as the employer host, need to give them permission to share their screen, and you would find it here. So under settings, participant settings, this is where you can manage the ability for students to share their screen or not. Now, if I'm co-hosting a group session with one of my colleagues, we are both hosts. You don't have to give your colleague screen sharing permission. It's just for the students that join. And then I also want to call out here, you can give students the ability to raise their hand. So especially in a group session, this can be very helpful to give students the ability to raise their hand. And you also have access to a participant list, much like Zoom or Teams, and you have access to chat. So if students prefer chatting with you, you can also keep this conversation going via chat, etc. So all of those things are available to you in Handshake Video. And then when you're done, you simply leave session. Since you're the host, you'll be ending the session. You can skip the survey. And now it takes us back to Handshake Video. So day of the fair, it would take you right back here to your schedule page. And now you would move on to your next appointment. So again, 60 minutes before each session begins, you will see a join video button. You will simply click that button. It will open a new tab. You will participate in the session, close out of the session when you're done. You'll go back to your schedule automatically. You would join the next session, and so on and so on. And that's how you would participate day of. So I definitely recommend a few things. One, take advantage of this test video session before the fair. Two, Handshake Video works best on Chrome. You can also use Firefox, but note that Safari generally does not give as good a performance. So I definitely recommend Chrome, followed by Firefox. And if you are having any technical difficulties, keep in mind that if you're connected to a VPN or if your company has any firewalls, those could be creating your issues. And so you always have that ability to quickly hop over to an external hosted video session like Zoom, but you would still participate, you would still launch your sessions from this schedule page. Okay, next, I want to talk about your Rsvp tab. So once we have students signing up, we would be able to see those student names here. And let's say you want to learn a little bit more about the student before, during, or after your session with that student. You would do that under the Rsvp tab. This is where you would see students who have signed up for your sessions, and you would be able to access their resumes from here. So I'm going to switch now to the student view. I'm going to sign up for one of these sessions, and that way we'll be able to see what it looks like when this Rsvp page is populated. So I'm going to switch now to a student account, and we'll look at this fair. Okay, so now I'm logged in as a student. I'm looking at the fair. Just like you, student will register for the fair. And then they will be prompted that next step to sign up for those sessions. So they will click view employer sessions, and now they'll see all the available sessions. We can see here that group session I created that is available for me to join. And you may notice there aren't any one-on-one sessions available. That's because two things. One, my one-on-one sessions, they had qualifications, and this student doesn't meet them. So not only do I not see, do I see that I can't sign up for them, I don't even get to see those one-on-one sessions. So I, as a student, am just missing out on the ability to sign up for those one-on-one sessions. So be careful with those qualifications. The second reason I'm not seeing any one-on-one sessions is because my colleagues, for whom I built one-on-one schedules, nobody's gone in and claimed their schedule. So there's nothing for the students to sign up for. So that's the importance of creating your schedule early and claiming those schedules. But let's look at this group session. So I can click into this. This is where that description comes in handy. Really tell the students what they would be learning during the group session. Make it very informative, especially if you have multiple recruiters attending and you need to clarify, this session we'll talk about internships. This session we'll talk about full-time hiring, et cetera, et cetera. They can see the description of your company. And then you might remember when we first registered, we shared some information about what we were looking for. We shared the jobs in Handshake that we're actively hiring for. And so students can see all of that information here. And then they can see the speakers that are hosting the session. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm my attendance here. And then now, as a student, I have a Your Schedule page, and just like you, on the day of the fair, they will come to their schedule page. This Join Video button that's currently grayed out, that will become available to them 5 minutes before the session. They would click Join Video, and just like you, they would launch into Handshake Video. Or if you're using that external video platform, this button would say something like Join External Video, and it would open up Zoom in another window for them. But they still participate just like you by going through their schedule day to day. And again, they can look at all the available sessions, and they can sign up for sessions throughout the day. So if you are going to step away, make sure you mark yourself as busy, because students can sign up during the fair, and many of them do. So I'm going to switch back now to my employer view. And we're going to look at this RSVP page. And now I can see here is Susanna, the student who signed up for a session with me. I can take notes on the student here. And if I wanted to download their resume, this is how I do it. It's a little bit hidden, so I really want to show this part. If we had a full list of students, we could click this top button. This would select the whole page. Or if you just want an individual student, you could click that one student. And now you have a couple of options. You can message the student, you can apply a label to the student, and under more, you can download resumes. So if I had selected multiple students, I might choose the download zip. It's going to go with me a whole big PDF package of all the resumes of the students that I've met with. This RSVPs tab, again, it's available before the fair. So you can research the candidates that are coming to meet you. It's available during the fair if you need to consult someone's resume or someone's Handshake profile, and it's available after the fair if you want to do any follow-up as well. So one more time, I'm going to take a look again at the schedule page, and we can see here that one student has RSVP'd for this group session. And again, I can go to the RSVP tab specifically if I want to look at that student information. Okay, I'm going to check the chat and see if any questions have come in. It doesn't look like they have, so I will pause now, and please feel free to unmute or to put in the chat any questions you have about the schedule process or about participating day of in the fair.
Thank you so much, Susanna. So while people maybe think of some questions, I just wanted to just say thank you so much for going over the creating your schedules and claiming your schedules. I think those are like the two biggest things that we like really try to follow up with the recruiters on before the fair, because it's so important that the students, because we push, we do a big marketing push to students before they're able to, before that student registration open day for students. And so if you don't have a schedule or you haven't claimed your schedule, then students can't see that. So it's really important to have at least one schedule there, just so they have the ability to book on it. So I just wanted to say that and say thanks for going into such detail with that. And I see a question in the chat.
Yes, definitely. It's such an important part. So building and claiming those schedules. So the question in the chat was, can you see resumes for both group and one-on-one sessions? And the answer is yes. And in fact, if we had a lot of RSVPs here, these filters really come in handy. So if you wanted to look at, for example, just students and their resumes for this group session, or just the individual sessions that I had with students, you could filter down and see those. But the answer is yes, you can see resumes and profiles for both group and one-on-one session attendees. I will call out that if you see a student here and you don't see a resume once you download those resumes, it is because that student has made the choice to not have a publicly available resume on their Handshake profile. That is something that students can control, whether or not they want that resume public. Many do make them public, but if you're missing a resume, that's likely why. You do, of course, still have access to the student's Handshake profile, and you can easily message them, hey, I loved meeting you, please share your resume, etc. But that is why, if you don't see a resume, it's because of the student's own choice not to make that public. And I do want to call out one thing about messaging is once students have signed up for a session with you, you are free to message back and forth with them without it counting towards your messaging limit for the recruiting season. So if you have a free Handshake account, you have 100 messages to students per recruiting season, but those are cold messages to students who haven't applied for a job, attended one of your events, or signed up for a session. So for example, this student, I could message them, it would not count towards my messaging limit. Okay. Great questions. Would a student be able to give you their resume during the session? There isn't a way for students to attach a file during a session, but if they had their resume in a Google Drive, they'd be able to put that link in the chat for you and you'd be able to access it that way. Or they would be able to refer you to their Handshake profile. If you're hiring for a specific job, and very important to put that in your fair registration, they could also go ahead and apply for the job and give you the resume that way as well. Okay. A colleague paid for our participation, but I will be handling the schedule building. Is there a link that I can access in order to start building the sessions? I don't see it listed in the emails that I've gotten from her. So if she made you the schedule owner from the very beginning, then yes, you would have gotten an email letting you know to go ahead and build those. Or if she has edited the registration to make you the schedule owner, you directly should have gotten an email letting you know to build the schedules. If that email buried in your inbox went to spam, etc., you can still do it. Here's how you would do that. So I'm in my Handshake profile and just on my home page. I'm going to go to fairs, again, left side navigation bar. And now we've got this whole list of fairs. So we can narrow it down very quickly by showing registered fairs only. And this will show any fairs that I haven't approved or pending registration for. And then again, you can look specifically for University of Central Florida and find that fair. And go ahead and click here into the fair and click to the schedule page. And then it should, just like when we started, it had that big button in the middle, add sessions, it would look like that. If it doesn't, it could be that perhaps your registration, maybe it isn't approved yet, maybe it's still pending. Or it could be that your colleague hasn't actually changed the schedule owner for the fair yet. So they would need to do that. And I can quickly show you what that looks like. So you can edit a registration, you can see who, click edit. You can see who the schedule owner is and change this and make this yourself. And then you would be able to access that schedule. If you have any difficulty either navigating to it or changing yourself to the schedule owner, feel free to contact our support team. So you can contact here and file a ticket, and they'll help you get to that schedule building page. Okay.
Just quickly, Susanna, I will also say that if your company has not paid for the registration, then we have not approved your registration. So for our virtual fairs, organizations will register, and then we will send the invoice. And once that registration fee is paid, we will approve that registration. So there could be a couple of reasons why you may not have access in order to create that. But depending on the fair, you can always reach out to the contact for that fair. We can look in and determine if you need to be added to the schedule, et cetera, and also help with that piece as well. But that could also be one of the issues why you haven't been added to or don't have access to create the schedules.
Any other questions about the schedule building process or what it's like day of fair? Okay, well, I appreciate your participation and the great questions you sent in. Oh, I see another question. Will company jobs be linked to our company for students to view when they see we are at the fair? Yeah, so if during the registration process, you linked those open jobs, then students are able to see that from the fair registration. So we'll look at the student view. We'll look again for that career fair. So here we go. I'm already RSVP'd for it. So they can see a few different things. They can see the employers attending and click into those employers. And they would be able to see any of the jobs that you have posted. Again, I'm in a demo site, so sorry, all these jobs look crazy. And then from the fair itself, that job that you linked in, they're able to see that when they sign up for a session with you. They can see all the things that remember those qualifications that you're hiring from, and they can see the jobs that you're actively hiring for as well. Can we link them after the registration? They're not available at the time of registration. I think you can. That's a great question. I think just like you can edit the schedule owner, you could do the same thing. You could go into your registration and edit it. And I think you should be able to add more jobs after the fact. Yeah. So that's the only one I think I have active at that school right now, but I should be able to add more jobs and update the registration. Great question. Any other questions? Okay, well, I will just say UCF is there to support you. Handshake support team is there to support you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and someone will get you to the right place. And I'm going to say it one more time, create those schedules early, get your teammates to claim their schedules early, and you'll be in great shape.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much, Susanna. And thank you everybody who attended, so you could get some more information on how to create schedules and just a little more information on the virtual affairs feature. Again, this is recorded, so we'll be sending this out to everyone, and then feel free to share with your colleagues or put them in touch with whatever fair you're registered for. And we will, help you get what you need in order to be successful on the day of the fair. So any last final words from you, Veronica?
No final words. Again, just thank you all for attending. Thank you all for registering for our fairs and recruiting our students. That is a big piece of why we're here. So we do appreciate your partnerships in that. And again, I'm Veronica Haynes. So I am the event manager for the internship fair. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions regarding that event.
Awesome. Alrighty, well, we'll give a few minutes back in everybody's day, but yeah, hope looking forward to having you all participate in our fairs, and thanks again, Susanna, for your demonstration. All right, bye.